Can this new captain promise you a life of prizes, plunder, and adventure? Aye. For amongst all the gentlemen of fortune sailing these West Indies, he ranks amongst the most clever. There was a time when I thought myself the deadliest scourge of these seas. For a while, I seen him clear the deck of a Spanish galleon like it were nothing. Fighting like a devil, dressed as a man. And he's a canny one. Knows his way round every crag and crevice of these islands.
Hello everyone, Ogre27 Kane here today, and I think we're going to do a review of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag for the Nintendo Switch. Let's do an overview, find out what this game is, what it's all about. Now this is part of the Assassin's Creed Rebel Collection, which contains both Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and Assassin's Creed Rogue. Today we're just going to talk about Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, because I think Rogue is pretty good too, and will deserve its own review when the time comes. So Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is the game that occurs after the Desmond Miles trilogy ends with Assassin's Creed 3. It is definitely kind of a transitional period in the Assassin's Creed franchise, and you can tell that they were just searching for other ways to explore the world and the characters. I really like this, and this game definitely deals more with the exploration and less of what's going on outside of the Animus. Having not only world exploration, but ship combat and ship exploration makes this a unique entry, so let's start with the gameplay. So the gameplay loop in this is very similar to all the other Assassin's Creeds. You find yourself exploring a very large open world and have a very strong story-driven narrative to keep you going. The general gameplay in this, though, doesn't see you just stuck in just traversal of a world as the character. The nice part about this one is the ship combat and ship exploration. They essentially turn you loose in the Caribbean and let you go crazy as a pirate in the 1700s. This game is technically a predecessor to Assassin's Creed 3. You play as a relative of that character, but that doesn't really impact much of what you're doing in the story until you figure that out. A lot of the general gameplay on this also encourages you to go off the beaten path and explore things out of the loop. The story is fun and engaging, but it is not the most important part or component to this game. Now on top of all of that, the game has a really wonderful and unique customization and crafting system. It allows you to go out into the world and collect materials to upgrade and craft your character and your ship. As you hunt, as you do other things, and as you complete side quests and gain treasures and things like that, it allows you to find cosmetics and physical upgrades and weapon upgrades for said ship. Now, your character upgrades are not necessarily as significant in the same sense, because you can get a lot of DLC for free that can make your character kind of powerful from the beginning. You don't have to use any of these, but it's pretty cool that they offered them in there. There are some fun other engaging side activities you can do as well, such as when you capture a ship, you have the ability to add it to your fleet and then set it forth on missions to go around and collect materials and perform quests for you as well. It's kind of nice because this allows you to collect some different things while you're out trying to perform the mission or finish up a task. Well, with that out of the way, let's hit the story now. And the story in this game is pretty fun. The story sees you as Edward Kenway, who is the grandfather of Connor from Assassin's Creed 3. You're essentially the father of the Templar you're chasing in that game. You don't really understand what's going on or why, and you're not really involved with any assassins or Templars as per se in this game until later on. You kind of stumble backwards into understanding what the Assassin's Guild is. This is not like all the other entries where you're kind of taken in as an apprentice and treated as such and trained. Nope, in this game, you kind of just find the outfit and start doing the job. Now, probably my favorite part about this whole story is how fun and carefree Edward Kenway is. He definitely reminds me a lot of Ezio, and he's very joyful in his nature. He plays a lot of practical jokes and pranks, and he doesn't really have a very serious character about him, at least not till later on. Now, that doesn't take anything away from his character and the seriousness of his story, but it does allow him to have a lot more flexibility and fun. So next up, let's hit the combat, and the combat is one of the funnest parts of this game. So the combat in this game is definitely a refinement of everything that is worked up in the whole series before it. In Assassin's Creed 1, Altair had very little in terms of options that he could utilize and movement and maneuvers. In Assassin's Creed 2, they definitely enhance this, and in 3, I felt was almost the apex of the combat. But they actually one-upped it in 4. And 4 allows you the fluidity and movement to jump between targets. Now this is kind of a big deal because in the other Assassin's Creed games, they would round up 6 or 7 characters around you and it'd be a struggle to fight them off because of the way that you would target them. In this game, because you're doing shipboardings and you may have 20 enemies around you, the game allows you a lot of flexibility to move and jump between the characters in which you're fighting. Yes, you still have your pistols and you still have your swords and you still have your hidden daggers and all the other cool weapons and that you've accumulated in all the other games. But this game allows you to switch between them and use them very fluidly and very quickly, and I absolutely love that. Now, I do also want to mention that there are multiple forms of combat in this game. Yes, there's the physical character combat that you're witnessing on screen here, but there's also the ship combat, which is really fun and engaging, almost a game to itself. And then on top of that, there's the hunting combat. Depending on what kind of creature you're hunting, there's different scenarios that you go through, rather. So if you're hunting a cat or a boar, you might jump and pounce on them or jump from a tree. If you're hunting a whale, on the other hand, you're going to be out in a boat with a harpoon throwing it. So lots of fun, different options for combat in this game. So next up, I think we're going to do graphics and animations. So originally being an Xbox 360 and PS3 game, the game looks very much the suit. This game has gotten a new coat of paint, and it is definitely a remastered version. It has a much more stable frame rate and a much better graphical presentation. It's a lot cleaner. I also noticed that there is not weird polygon pop-ins like there was in the original version, and the draw distance is much better as well. I can actually see ships from a good enough distance to decide whether or not I'm going to engage. This was kind of an issue in the Xbox 360 version because sometimes I would just run into enemies and wouldn't even know they were there. Now mind you, the Switch version here runs somewhere between 720 and 1080p, but from what I understand, the PS4 and Xbox versions are even upgraded to a full 60 1080p. I absolutely enjoy the graphical presentation on this game, and the animations are some of the smoothest in the series, especially up to this point. There was a lot of time and effort put into having unique animations for all the different death scenes. A lot of the enemies that you'll see here too are from different factions and have different animated characteristics to them too. Now, if you're expecting it to look as good as something like Odyssey or something like Origins, you might be a little disappointed. But to see the nice upgrade and overhaul that they've given it since its original release definitely makes it worthy. And now that they're supposedly working on a new version of this, a complete remake, I'm curious to see how much more can change, what else they'll do to it, because in my opinion, this is top notch. Well, let's touch on the controls and audio now, and the controls in this game are pretty darn fantastic. In my opinion, they are the epitome of the conclusion to the series back in the day on the original consoles. All of the games leading up to this built on each control scheme. And by the time you get to this game, it feels buttery smooth compared to those older versions. Recently, I've gone back and tried to play the Ezio collection on the Switch, And I can tell you right now, I really miss having the free run ability that the R button gives you in this game and Assassin's Creed 3. The controls definitely do their part and they do them well, and they fit the game perfectly. And yes, there are your typical customization settings, such as changing the sensitivity and inverting axis, and all the other options that are available. There are multiple control schemes, whether you're looking at the map, or whether you're looking at the end game, or whether you're functioning on the ship, but all of the controls work well for every single thing that you're trying to do. Well, let's touch on some audio now. And the audio in this game is pretty top-notch as well. It has a lot of really good ambient music and a lot of good sound effects, and the characters are fully voiced and the dialogue is fantastic. But the best part about the audio in this game are the sea shanties. I absolutely love finding new sea shanties, and sometimes I'll just go sail around on my ship just to listen to my crew sing. I don't think I've ever experienced any game that has given me this kind of mood or atmosphere before, but I do enjoy it a lot. Well, with all of that out of the way now, let's do our conclusion. In conclusion, I think this package is worth every penny. I bought it brand new on release for the $40 price point, and I have no remorse over that. I am extremely happy with what they gave me, and this game has seen a lot of gameplay and hours out of me. You can pick it up now for $15 or $20 for a physical copy, and it's worth that much. It's worth whatever you can find it for, digitally or physically. If you need a good remastered Assassin's Creed that fit the bill and gave us everything we enjoyed and loved about the old ones, you can't go wrong, and this is probably the best one on the Nintendo Switch currently. Between the fantastic story and dialogue, the really fun and witty humor, the great exploration, the massive open world, the ship combat and exploration, the feeling of being a pirate like no other, because I've never experienced another game that's given me this kind of feeling before. This is definitely a must-buy. This is a 10 out of 10 for me, and I don't normally give any sort of ratings, but this is definitely a good game, a great game, and one that's worth your time, attention, and money. So I really hoped you guys enjoyed today's review, because I enjoyed making it. It was a lot of fun. So thank you for watching today's video. It was a blast to make. I upload every single Monday. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and have yourself a great rest of your day. This is Ogre27 Kane signing out.
Blood into this small glass cube.
Like this one?
Aye. They meant to ask him about the observatory too, but he escaped.
Huh. We're finished here.
But you're churlish and arrogant, prancing around in a uniform that you have not earned.
Everything is permitted. Isn't that your motto?
I absolve you of your errors in Havana and elsewhere, but you are not welcome here.
Sorry, mate. Wish it were otherwise.